All right, I'll just use this data meetings being live stream. Cool.
Cool. So we're recording and should be pushing live to the group now. All right, give me a second.
Awesome.
Let me get prepped. See if I can find this in the group. Cool. All right, we are live. What is happening, you guys? It is Garrett Fankhauser with FFL Funnels here, and we're back for SEO Chat number 2, basically. So you guys will recognize my SEO wizard, Ben, who is our SEO manager here. He is basically the man behind all of the operations that helps us out actually getting huge wins for clients on a regular basis. So shout out to Ben. Cool. So what we're going to be doing, I'm going to get my stuff pulled up right here. Before we get into this, though, I'm going to set some ground rules. If you guys are watching this live, please do me a favor. Go into the comments for the live that you're watching and type in live. The reason that I ask you guys to do that is that's going to help more people see it, right? It's going to bump it up in the feed. Same thing happens with if you guys are watching the replay, right? If you guys are watching this on the replay, go ahead and type in replay, even if it's on YouTube, right? That'll help out too, because this is going to be in the Facebook group and YouTube. Cool. So I don't think that we have any other ground rules other than if you have any questions, go ahead and comment them.
Yes.
On this video, right? Because basically what's going to happen is I'm going to kind of be interviewing Ben. Ben's going to walk through our topic for today, which is going to be SEO tools. And if you guys have any questions, we'll be able to answer those live right now, right? Worst case scenario, if you miss this and you catch the replay and you're watching this and you want us to answer something down the road, you know, like whenever you watch it, go ahead and comment in here as well. And when we get to it, you know, even if it's a month or whatever down the road, we'll try and answer it for you, or we'll make sure to put it in some other content that we put out and we'll tag you in it or whatever. Cool. All right. That's enough for ground rules. Let's get rolling. So I guess to start off, guys, basically what we're going to be talking about today is like understanding SEO tools, right? These are the things that are actually going to help you make this happen and make it a lot easier, right? If you're not using the right tools, this is way fucking harder, right? Which I think is what many of you guys are struggling with right now. So I guess to get started, where we're going to start is we're going to go over to Ben. I'm going to give him access to share his screen, which he most likely doesn't have right now. So we're going to give Ben access to share his screen, and we're going to kind of dig into it, right? We're going to start by kind of going over an introduction of SEO tools. So Ben, go ahead and take the mic.
Awesome. Thanks, Garrett. So as you're saying, like this whole entire live today is just going to be about introducing you to probably the most popular and useful tools for SEO in general. Let you know what they do. I'll try to give a brief overview. Again, I don't want to, I could deep dive into each one of these tools, and probably every tool could be its own 1 hour live. But because SEO isn't a one size fits all strategy, you got to make sure that you're picking the right tools for what you're trying to do at that moment. But these tools actually help us to tailor the strategy to the website specific needs. It helps with optimization opportunities, whether there's issues on the website, whether there's issues off the website, depending on whether we're targeting nationally, locally, do we have to go after more citations, links, so on and so forth, how to create effective content, and then how to also track the performance of the SEO strategies that we're implementing. It does help us with some of the diagnostics, as well as we definitely try to do technical audits. Anytime we bring on a campaign, that's one of the first things that we're going to do. We want to assess the health of the website, right? We want to make sure the foundation is set. And then just kind of give you an overview of what the tools are for, how to use them, what you should and shouldn't do, and kind of go from there. So that's just the basic introduction here. I don't know if you have anything else to add, Garrett, but
No, all good for now.
all right.
So yeah, I mean, I guess you know, as far as these type of tools, the best place to probably start would be the king, right?
Yeah, I mean, you got to go straight to the look in the horse's mouth, or however you want to put it, but go right to Google. Number one tools that I always put on sites are going to be the codes for the analytics and for Search Console. And depending on use cases, Might also use Google Tag Manager as well. I'll just kind of give you a real quick overview of what these look like. I recommend these tools because number one, they're free. Number two, it's using Google's data sets. It gives us a really good overview of what's happening on the site. The first tool I want to talk about is going to be Google Analytics. This one in particular is very good at tracking real-time traffic. It can help us to measure conversions, sales, shows us where traffic is going. You can even see the behavior of your traffic on the website. One of the things that straight to the look in the horse's mouth.
Sorry, that was my my screen.
Like what? Okay. So you can go in here and take a look at real-time data, see what's going on. Like right now on our site, FFL Funnels, we have 2 people on the site, actually. We can see where they're located. You can get into the demographics here, see all kinds of different vital information. But what I look at and what I use it for with SEO is I want to look at the acquisition tab. I want to see where we're getting traffic from, where they're landing on the website. And the easiest way to do that is just open up acquisitions, go to the overview. And you can see here we have several different categories of traffic, right? Number one, when we're trying to do SEO, the biggest thing we're doing is organic search. Next is going to be direct. And that's anybody who just puts in fflfunnels.com or your website and goes directly to your site. Any traffic from socials, this can be Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, so on and so forth. Anything considered a social account accounts for that traffic. And then referrals as well. So this is like anytime you have a backlink somewhere, somebody clicks on that backlink, goes to your website, that's going to count as referral traffic. One of the things I want to point out here is you can drill down by clicking on it for organic sources, and it'll show you sometimes what keywords that they're landing on. But I can break it down by source, and it can show us actually the specific search engines that are driving traffic for us. Right now it's Google, then Bing, DuckDuckGo, Yahoo, and Baidu. So it's important to note, like, this is pretty much what you're going to see on the vast majority of your sites. Most of your search traffic is going to come from Google simply because that's the most popular search. What I like to use is I like to sort by landing page. This will tell us exactly where we have traffic landing on our website as well, what pages, and so on and so forth. One of the biggest things that this is good for is that when you start looking at the different traffic sources, let's say you have a lot of social traffic coming through, you can see where that's from. And let's say you get a lot of traffic from Pinterest, and for whatever reason, Pinterest traffic converts for you, then you might want to put some effort into actually putting more content onto Pinterest and drive traffic back to your site, and so on and so forth. This does actually connect with Search Console. I don't know if this account has it in here, but it can actually start drilling down the impressions, clicks, and stuff like that. I'm not going to get too specific on this, but basically what it does is pulls some of the data from Google Search Console and puts it into analytics for us. You can go ahead and look at conversions. Again, setting up goals, items like that. It can be form submissions. It can be when somebody abandons the site, any of these things, if they click on an email link. But what we're trying to do is just attribute where the traffic is going and what they're doing on the site, and to better go ahead and optimize our site for conversions. But that's kind of it in a nutshell. Since the vast majority of the sites in our market are going to be e-commerce sites, we can go ahead and drill down by e-commerce behavior too. You can start looking at how much revenue the site's generating, where the conversion rates are, stuff like this, average order value. It just gives you some helpful insights into what traffic is doing on your site. The next one is going to be Google Search Console. This is an important tool because again, a lot of this feeds additional data into us as far as like keywords, behavior. But what I like to look at here is kind of the overview, just make sure that the site's looking healthy. Google will specifically tell us like if the site isn't doing well. If we're having issues with our site maps, I'll get into each one of these here in just a second. What I like to look at is performance. It does tell us the average position. One of the things about average position though within Google Search Console is that as you're doing SEO, you're just naturally going to rank for more keywords, which means your impressions are going to go up, but the average position might drop just because you're getting auditioned in so many more searches. What we're trying to look at is to see how many people are clicking on our site when they see us in the search engine or in the search results, and then how many impressions that we're getting. We can drill it down by time. We can do comparisons, look at month over month, year over year, items like this. What I can tell from this site right now, average click-through rate, 7.1%. That's healthy. That's kind of what we want to see. I try to shoot for 8 or more, but this is actually pretty good. Once it starts getting down, that gives me a clue that I need to go in and potentially optimize my titles or my descriptions and try to just elicit people to click on my result that they're seeing in those searches. You can go in and inspect individual URLs within Google. I don't know. I guess because the FFL funnel site is probably a single URL site, right? It'll show us pages. It'll give us indexing, let us know what's getting indexed, what isn't indexed. Stuff technically sound like if they're finding 404s with certain links on the site. But this is kind of crucial for us also within our technical audits as well. There's a spot for us to submit a sitemap. I think because the FFL funnel site is pretty much just a landing page, not much to show them, but sitemaps are important. We have to tell Google what's on the site, what we want them to look through, and so on. We do have core vitals in here. It gives us some page speed insights, how well the site performs on mobile. Again, a lot of it is technical stuff, making sure that our site is healthy, right? And then I don't have an example of Tag Manager, but it's essentially just, these are the big 3 tools that, or at least 2 of the 3 that I definitely use on every single campaign, because there's no point if we're not tracking what visitors are doing on the site, where they're coming from. And it's really good to get the information straight from Google. So.
Cool. Thanks for sharing that, dude. So for you guys that are watching, why this is important, right, is because I mean, like Ben said, this is literally coming straight from Google. So these are the most important metrics out here. And if we're not tracking things, we don't know what needs to be fixed. We don't know what is working well. We don't know where people are coming from or anything like that, right? So one of the things that we primarily focus on when working with clients is trying to figure out a couple different things, right? The first thing would be like, where is our primary channel of acquisition? Meaning like, where do most of the people that are finding you come from? And how can we improve that, right? Looking at the data, figuring out where people are coming from, what pages they're looking at, how long they're staying, what they're buying, are they signing up to become a lead, whatever it is, right? And basically using this data directly from Google so that we can optimize around that to improve the results in the back end, right? So the more traffic that we can get to the site that is actually qualified to be a purchaser, the more likely it is that we're actually going to get a purchase from the website, being a conversion in this sense. Right. So hopefully that kind of helps summarize that stuff. We're going to go ahead and move on into some of the more advanced tools. Google Analytics and Google Search Console. Many of you guys have seen that in here before. Me covering that. I have some video training on how to set that up. It's probably changed now as far as like Google's user interface. But the principles are the same on how to set it up. You should have it set up on any site you have, even if you're running like, a Gearfire or whatever, one of those other dumpy sites. Like, it is what it is. Like, do the best that you can with what you have. And make sure that you're using Google Search Console and Google Analytics for those. But moving into some of the more advanced tools, this is where, some of these tools cost us a few $100s every single month. So not everybody in here is really going to be down to pay that. But just know that like there's a lot of other stuff out here that it can give you a huge advantage over the people that aren't doing this. And this is why, like some of the stuff that we do is like, not $20 a month, right? There's a lot that goes into us and there's a lot of expenses that goes into us, but this gives us a huge advantage over the people that aren't doing this type of research and things like that. So Ben's going to go ahead and get into some of the more advanced tools here.
Absolutely. So these are just kind of broken down in how I use them. So the first set of tools here I'm going to go over now are going to be the keyword research tools. I do want to point out that there are other options for analytics and items like that, but they tend to cost money. The reason why we use Google, or at least the other reason, because it's free. So with that said, keyword research tools, I highlighted several here. I don't actually use every single one of these. It's just, it's going to be more of like, what's your personal preference? Each tool set kind of gives a really good solid set of data at this point. But the first tool I want to highlight is going to be Ahrefs. I'll talk a little bit about SEMrush. I'll talk about Google Keyword Planner. I like to always, I'm going to try and throw in at least some type of cheap or free tool. And that's, again, if we can go to the source, go straight to Google, see what they're telling us about the keywords, great. Then there's Uber Suggest, and then a browser plugin that I love that's incredibly inexpensive is Keywords Anywhere. So for Ahrefs, they're definitely known for their extensive keyword data and their competitor analysis capabilities. What I liked and what I initially got into using this tool for was backlink research when I first started, but they've grown their tool set. They've also grown their price. They've changed their plans. So it's one of those tools that I've just used year over year. And it really does give me a really good outlook on what's happening with the site as far as content, backlinks. And there's even within Ahrefs itself, the ability to do audits, which are pretty effective. You can track keywords and go from there. But for the purpose of this, Keyword Explorer is Ahrefs tool for keyword research. I'm just going to continue with the theme of AR15. And one of the things you can just go in here and what it'll do, and I'm going to show you some discrepancies here because I know this isn't the right volume for this keyword. It gives us an idea of how hard this keyword is going to rank for. It will tell us what the parent topic is. So if there was a different topic on top of AR15, it would say that. Any questions related to that? So what to do with this kind of information is to know, like, should I be going after AR15, right? Like if you're just starting out, I probably wouldn't. What they're going to recommend is you're going to need at least 183 different websites linking to your page about AR15s to even have a chance to rank for this term. It gives us the idea of the volume. This is the amount of people that are going to go ahead and actually search for this term month over month. Traffic potential, how much traffic you would expect by hitting one of the top ranking results. And then even global volume, right? Again, I know that this information is wrong. I'll show you why, because I already got this up in Keyword Planner. But where I use it for with the keyword research is the terms match. I can go ahead and look at and view all of these keywords. It gives us this interesting little, I just want to buy, I don't know if I want this. I want it as a list. I prefer lists. You can do whatever. If you like visuals, it has that ability. What it does starts telling us all the different keywords that we could potentially rank for, right? So if you're going to try and rank for AR15, you might want to distinguish between a rifle or if you have a pistol platform, any accessories, best terms, stuff like this. But it really does give us a good idea of the amount of searches that are getting performed for this term every single month. This is a heavy term. But what I also like to do is you can go in here on the left-hand side, it has related terms, and it'll start spitting out items that Google or even this tool Ahrefs is kind of correlating with the term AR15. As you can see, PSA is one of the top terms for related. But it talks like, what does AR stands for, right? Everybody, I shouldn't say everybody, the media pushes that it's an assault rifle, right? Not that it's an Armalite rifle or whatever it is. But there's just so many different amounts of keywords here that'll help guide us in our content creation. These are terms that we should definitely have on a page and kind of go from there. It'll even give us search suggestions based off of AR15. Some of this stuff is repetitive, but there's a lot of keywords here. As you can see, 682 suggested, so many different related terms, 2,600 for related. Matching terms, probably going to be just as high, 389,000. There's a lot of stuff that you can dive into here using Ahrefs. SEMrush will go ahead and produce similar data. This isn't the back end. I was hoping it would maybe pop something up for me, but they do similar data. They look at backlinks. They look at the keyword terms, the content. They'll even show you competitor information, items like that. So that's another good tool. Same thing with Moz. You can use that for keyword research as well. Where do I have Uber Suggest? Uber Suggest is another one. I know a lot of people use this. It's free. You can use so many different searches within a day. They give you an SEO difficulty. One thing I want to point out about these tools, when they say difficulty, it's just kind of a generalization. It's not like it's not set in stone. Once you've done this long enough, you'll kind of get a good idea of what true difficulty is. Most of these tools base it off of like a single metric. Like Ahrefs mostly base their difficulty rating for that term, like AR15, off of backlinks, which is really good, but it's just one piece of the bigger puzzle. Can't see historical data, but it'll start spitting out plenty of keyword terms, other things that you might want to use. You may want to talk about an AR15 stock, again, the accessories, a charging handle, a sling, meaning, so on and so forth. And then the last one I want to talk about is Keywords Everywhere. Now, this is just their website. What this actually is a browser extension you can attach to Google Chrome or for Firefox. And I'll just do an AR15. Oops. Yeah, all right, took the dot off. So AR15. Now, this little line here where it says volume 823,000 per month, CPC 0, competition 0, that is from Keywords Everywhere. And it also puts on the right-hand side trend data for me. And I can do additional keyword research with it as well. What I do is just kind of use it to search in Google, get an at-glance perspective of the potential search volume. So Keywords Everywhere is actually, I think it's about $10 for 100,000 credits, which is quite a bit. But I want to point out why or Ahrefs is wrong, where they're showing between 199 and 266,000. When you actually go into Keyword Planner, now if you've never spent on ads before, you're not going to get this exact number of 823,000. It'll show you something like between 100K and 1 million. But it's actually, it's almost searched 1 million times a month. Like, this is a big keyword, but this is data straight from Google. It can give you keyword ideas based on several of these items here, but this is what I would use if I didn't want to have to pay for a tool, right? You can go into keyword research, your keyword planner, you can get a good idea of the keyword volume, and then kind of go from there. But it's, again, this is built more for ads, so you got to keep that in mind too.
Guys, so we didn't go over that very much, but that's the Google Ads Keyword Planner, right? What that is a free tool that Google offers that allows people to do research for their ads. The idea being that you can research, what keywords and things that you want to target for your ads. But we can actually use it for the purposes of SEO, such as in this example, we can compare keywords like Ben showing and things like that. This is just super important because it's data directly from Google. It's free. You can set this up without having to set up an actual, you don't have to pay to run ads or anything. You can just set this up and run this. But it's been said, if you have ran ads before, maybe for you guys in this industry, people are able to run ads for like sporting goods. So that's something good to know. If you have like a training facility or CWP classes or anything like that, there are ways of actually being able to run ads for that. But I just wanted to kind of point out what this actually is. This is Google Ads Keyword Planner.
Yeah, I'll just go ahead and use sporting goods as the seed keyword. That's the main keyword I'm trying to show, because what Google will do is start spit out additional keyword ideas for you. I think because of the niche, the market, maybe potentially putting in firearm names is not going to net us the results like that we want. But as far as sporting goods, you can see there's going to be a plethora of different keyword ideas here to use. Again, what you're trying to do is go ahead and use these tools to speed this process up, take the guesswork out of it, and go from there. So those are the main main tools as far as what I like to use. Personally, I use Ahrefs. I will use Keyword Planner as needed. One of the cool little features, and I want to point this out with keyword planner is, oh man, it's been a minute.
Yeah, Google's always changing their user interface around. Every time I jump into something, I'm like, oh,
Right.
this changed.
So I'm in Wisconsin, right? So I'm going to put my specific location, and what you can tell here is 450,000 people a month search for sporting goods, but I can narrow it down and see that, wow, it's supposed to change. Okay. It should tell me the amount of searches for that specific term in my area. I'm not sure why it's not updating this for me, but
Yeah, who knows? It is Google. Maybe refresh or something like that. But yeah,
I don't know.
that's super cool, right? Because then we can actually get data based around a specific zip code or like a city limits or whatever.
Yes, you can go city level, county level, zip code level. You can break it down. It's pretty extensive, but it's really good. What I'm trying to get at, it's good for identifying local keyword research, right? Like if you're going into Ahrefs and you want to find out, like if you just want to rank for gun shop, right? Like it's going to show you the amount of people searching for gun shops nationally. Now you can narrow it down, put gun shops potentially like your city. But what that allows us to do is figure out exactly how many people are searching for just the term gun shop in your area versus having the modifier for the city or area you're trying to target. So
Cool. Awesome, dude. Well, thanks for showing us the keyword research tools. Basically what you guys want to do is make sure that you guys are targeting the right keywords so that we can get people to show up for what we're actually looking to sell, our high ROI margin, our high ROI products, our services, gun shop near me, that type of stuff, right? So that's really where the keyword research comes into play. Next, what we're going to be covering is let's move into technical SEO tools, right? We talked about technical SEO last week and we kind of broke it down, what it is, how it works and all that. So we're going to talk about some actual technical SEO tools that can be used to actually like kind of highlight some areas where maybe some things can be fixed, maybe some areas where things can be improved, maybe some areas where things are already working well, and we can, double down on that. So go ahead and kind of take us into some of your favorites, Ben.
all right. So when it comes to technical audits, there's a lot of different elements that we need to look on a site. Technical isn't just like site speed or is the site loading? Are we getting errors? It's, do all of our pages have titles? Are the canonicals, which might be a kind of a jargon term, but are they set correctly? Do we have any broken links? Do we kind of want to identify if there's like orphan pages? That means like if you have a page on your website that nothing else links to. What we're trying to do is just look at the website as a whole, take all these elements and make sure that from a quality standpoint, we're dotting all our I's, crossing all our T's. Now, there's several different ways that we can do this. How these always start is that we're going to utilize at least some type of a tool to go ahead and crawl our website, grab all the important data, content, word count, all that stuff, and then put it together in like a spreadsheet for us so that I at least we can go through it and identify these issues. Now, I use Screaming Frog, which is an SEO spider. I'll show that in just a second. There's several other tools out there too. Ahrefs does this. They have a spider, obviously, that crawls sites. It's part of their web audit. So Ahrefs, again, is a pretty good tool for that. There's Sitebulb. There's many other different items that we can potentially use, but I prefer Screaming Frog, just something I've been using for a really long time. Again, this is another tool that isn't free. You can get a free version, but the free version of Screaming Frog will only let you crawl up to 500 URLs on a website. Now, what people often don't know is that you might have one single page in your site, and then you're going to have images on those sites, but each image is going to have its own URL. Some of the CSS elements will have their own pages. So when it comes to e-commerce sites, like the ones we're running in our market, they tend to be huge. So if you have a site that you know is under 500 URLs, go ahead and use the free version. But this is a tool, like if you get this, it's $250 a year. What it does is you just simply, it has a lot of different tools. but I went ahead and crawled the FFL funnel site just to get a good idea. Typically this takes a little bit of time, but what I'm looking at is I want to see all the HTML elements. This is stuff that's going to be important to SEO. This is stuff that like we can almost always control. And what I try to do is just go ahead and export that data, and I'll go ahead and save it and figure out where it's saved to. All right, give me a second here. I'll just back up here and save it here. I'll pop this open real quick and just show you what's going on. All right, so there's going to be a bunch of columns, bunch of rows. It'll give you the actual address that it found. If there's content, what type it is. This will say like JavaScript, it'll say CSS, so on and so forth, images. It'll give us a status code. There's multiple different status codes. What I do want to see on, and when we crawl the site, any live URLs, I want to see that 200 code. Tell us if it's okay, if it's indexable. It'll let us know what the title is, what the heading ones are, what the H2s are, so on and so forth, the amount of content, a lot of how many links leave the site, how many links point to the page that we're looking at, so on and so forth. This is just incredibly vital to me, because if I see a site that has hundreds or thousands of pages that don't have a heading one or a H2, or the titles are really long, something like that, this helps me identify those. It also helps me identify where there's going to be opportunities for me to link out to or link from internally, or so on and so forth. I'm not going to go too in depth on this beyond this, because next week, I believe, is the week that we're going to go over how to do an exact technical audit of a website. But this is definitely vital to what we're doing with these technical audits and these tools. Moz Pro offers something similar to this. There's going to be tools in Ahrefs, SEMrush. It's just whatever you prefer to use. But what we're trying to do is just see the overall site health and make sure that it's good to go. The second thing I like to look at are Google Search Quality Raters guidelines. What these are is a specific rules that Google uses when they have somebody go out and manually audit a site, right? There's a lot of guidelines here, 31 different categories. Now, in the slide, I have a link to all these tools if you guys want to check them out, but I would definitely go in and look at this. As a search quality rater, you'll help evaluate search engine quality around the world. Good search engines give results that are helpful for people in their own specific language and locale. What this is telling us is that not only is Google this massive just computer and algorithm, they also rely on humans to edit your site. So if I guarantee at some point, Google's going to have somebody go and look at your site and make sure that all these items fit. They get, it's kind of an opinion, but this is a guideline for how to make sure that your site will pass a search quality rating review. But I just wanted to point this out because this is part of our technical audits as well. Let's see here. And then
so I think something that's super important for people to realize is that, every day I talk to people and they're like, yeah, I'm trying to do my own SEO. And I'm like, cool. How's that going? Like, do you need help or whatever? When people say that to me, though, basically what they're telling me, what I hear is, hey, I drive a car every day. I'm going to try and build my own engine. Right.
Yeah.
And so I'm not trying to discourage you guys from doing this stuff yourself. And specifically, there's a lot of things that can be done on a base level. But if you guys are looking to actually set yourself apart from the crowd, you can see that there's a lot more that actually goes into this than just adding some text to your pages and making sure that the titles are in alignment with what's on the page, right? I mean, even down to the technical guidelines that Google themselves gives to their actual employees. These are things that we're taking into account when we're building our websites that we offer, but two, when we're actually going through and making sure that not only is the website dialed in for conversions and things like that, but in order to help that site rank better in organic search results better than your competitors, this is some of the stuff that's actually done in order to help set our clients aside and apart and ahead of everybody else in the game. That's, maybe they have an SEO agency that works with like attorneys and, chiropractors and, concrete companies and whatever, right? Literally, we only do this, like, we literally only work with FFOs, right? So this is all like kind of an overview of what is all required. But we're doing this specifically only to help you guys, within the realm of your niche, right? In this industry.
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the reasons why I love that this quality rater or the search quality rater guidelines is because this is straight from Google. This is telling somebody who doesn't work for Google, has no idea what the algorithm is, how to look at a site and make sure that it's trustworthy, that it should actually just be shown in the results. I mean, you can go out, put all the content you want, do all the keyword research you want, build your backlinks, so on and so forth. But it's like Google wants to make sure, like, just because we crossed all those algorithmic dots and or T's or whatever, it's just, they also want to make sure that it's a page that should rank. I'm sure plenty of us have seen sites in searches that probably shouldn't be there. But that's just a real quick overview. One of the other things we look at is going to be the speed test. Google made a huge deal out of this. I'm going to tell you how fast your site isn't as important as they made it out to be. But it's still one of those items we definitely want to be looking at to make sure that we're doing well. Really, it only matters if you're in one of the top 3 spots and you have all your and everybody looks the same. Google's going to use your site speed similar to how they use ads quality score when they do PPC. So there's several different tools. I prefer Page Speed Insights. This has Lighthouse caked into it, and it's good. GT Metrics isn't bad. As you can see, our site's pretty darn quick. One of the biggest things that we want to make sure is there isn't a huge layout shift and the site loads fast. We are a mobile first search engine here, or Google's a mobile first search engine. So we got to make sure that speed is, that the sites load up quickly on mobile device. So that's pretty much it for technical SEO. Again, we're going to deep dive into each one of these things. I'll show you guys how I do keyword research on a video. I'll show you guys how I do technical SEO audits itself, but I just want to go over the tools themselves. I'm going to jump into link building. That's the next part. There's so many different ways that you can go about building your links. One of the things that we want to do is start out by analyzing the links. Tools that I use to analyze backlink profiles are going to be Ahrefs. Again, you can use SEMrush. Moz is good. Another one is Majestic. And then there's tools like BuzzSumo to kind of see what kind of potential content you need to use. You can identify influencers. And then obviously the ultimate link building tool is going to be your email account. Because if you write up a good piece of content, you want to get links for it, you're going to have to go out and solicit people for links back to your site. So it's pretty involved at the start. There's a lot of manual work for getting links. One of the things that I know that gets talked about a lot as a shiny object are going to be mass link building tools. I almost don't want to put these out here, but tools like GSA, SER, SEO Nuke, stuff like this, they will automatically build backlinks for you. But I tell you what, at this point in time, Google is smart enough. They know that when these links start coming in, where they're coming from, how they're getting built, and they just tend to ignore them. Google has been able to filter this stuff out for quite a while. These tools used to get you actual like manual action penalties. Now you get an algorithmic filter penalty, which can be harder to come from. I would rather have a site work on a site with a manual penalty versus an algorithmic penalty, just because Google tells you in a manual penalty what to fix. Plus, if you get a site out of a manual penalty, and Google reindexes it and lets you rank it again, that site's almost bulletproof moving forward. What I use these tools up here for, analyze my backlink profile, but I want to look at my competitor's profile too. And then I build a strategy around that, how I want to phrase my anchors, where I want to get my links from, how powerful they need to be. They'll identify if I need citations, guest posts, so on and so forth. So, but that's just kind of link building tools in a nutshell.
Cool. So yeah, we're gonna dig into that more for you guys as we move forward in the next few weeks or whatever. But one of the things that's super important to realize there is link building is going to be one of the most highly beneficial things that is basically one of the most important things that needs to be done to actually improve your rankings across the search engines. And one of the things that Ben said, which is I think sort of different, I guess, that most people don't expect, was the email outreach part, right? So in building links, this isn't just like you go to Facebook and like you just post your website all over the place, all over the time. We actually want to get your links put in prominent places on like really high domain, high authority websites, right? So some of those can be like social media and things like that, but other things need to be blogs and other types of websites that are super important that your website shows up on. And the only way that most of that stuff can be done is literally having somebody reach out to these websites or these blogs or these other, whatever they are, forums, and actually asking permission from the owner to have your link placed on their website. Right. So again, we'll cover that later, but I want you guys to realize that there's a lot more that goes into it, again, than just like changing some text on your page and praying that it's going to do better than the next guy. Right.
Yeah. And, one of the things that we'll get into in a future video is like how to effectively do your link building. Because it's not just about building, the Facebook is a link to you. If you build a Facebook page, that's a link, but it's not as powerful. There's different ways of classifying links. Do we tell Google that we can follow them? Do we know follow them? So on and so forth. It's very intricate. But the problem, or I shouldn't say the problem, link building is probably the most important factor for the algorithm to know if Google should rank a site or not. Literally having other websites use a link is like they're giving a vote of confidence to Google for your page that you should rank for it. So yeah, there's a lot that we're going to cover. Again, this is just the tool breakdown. If I would, I guess I just want to give some general advice real quick. Like I'd probably just pick one tool. That's why I use Ahrefs. It does so much. It's like a Swiss Army knife for me. So that's why I prefer that one, but several of these will do the same thing. So with that said, I'll jump into the local SEO tools. There's going to be a lot of stuff in here maybe you guys hadn't heard of. But for local SEO in general, what I want to do is be able to see where I'm listed. I want to be able to track my rankings on Google Maps itself. I want to see where my overall impact in my area is. I want to make sure I'm building the correct citations. I'm managing those citations, so on and so forth. I know Bright Local is a really good tool for managing local listings. It does help you monitor your local search rankings and helps you, conduct some competitor benchmarking. I only listed here just because it's a popular tool. But what I like to use and what I prefer to use is a tool called Local Viking. This is where I can manage multiple GMBs or GBPs, whatever we want to call them. We can put them in there. We can schedule items for Google posting. We can see where we rank. But what it does really good and really well is the GeoGrid ranking and tracking. And what that means is like it will look and do searches based off of residential IPs within that area and show you how well you rank like block by block or mile by mile in a radius around your business. But as far as ranking in local SEO, outside of having a specific page on your site that ties into your GBP, you need to make sure that your name, address, and phone number are consistent across multiple platforms. And I'm talking like Yelp and Facebook and socials and so on, and these types of items. And there are big data aggregation tools, and I have the big four listed here, that what happens is once you get your information into like InfoGroup's database or Newer Stars or Axiom or Factual, they start putting that data out on the web, and it will help actually update existing listings, things like that. There's several different citation tools out there that you can use to also do some of this work. Some of the big ones are going to be Moz Local, Whitespark, Yext, Advice Local, Loganex. And I know SEMrush has the ability to manage some of your local citations and things like this too. What I want to point out though, with tools like Yext, SEMrush, anytime they go out and build a listing for you, 9 times out of 10, they own the listing. So if you stop paying for Yext, you're going to lose your listings. And it's going to be troublesome for you to get those back. I don't have it listed on here for, oh yeah, I do. Whitespark. Whitespark is a tool that I like to use because it helps me with my competitors' research. Say I want to go ahead and try to rank in my area for my gun range. I'll go ahead and put in the top 3 results from my competitors, and Whitespark will spit out a huge list of citations that they have. I can compare it to my citation list, and I can go out and then fill in the gaps essentially. So if everybody's on like a MapQuest, I know not a lot of people use MapQuest anymore, but it's still a very popular site. It's a GPC citation site, and it's definitely one where you should have your business listed. It'll give you a whole list of that. But those are the bigger tools that I use for local SEO. It's not a lot. And what I tend to try to do with my tools in order to keep costs down, find something that can do a couple of things really well. So essentially, Whitespark and local Viking are the tools that I use mainly for local SEO.
Cool. Something to add real quick for you guys. For those of you that can post to your GBPs, right? So the Google Business Profile, Google disables some of you guys, and we really don't have this is why or that's why. But what we do see is that businesses that are titled around sporting goods do a lot better than like firearms named businesses, right? So for example, if I had Garrett's Firearms or I had Garrett's Sporting Goods, Garrett Sporting Goods would generally not get as restricted on Facebook, Google, all the other platforms, right? So that is something that, I think some of you guys have realized, and others maybe not so much, but just the name of your company actually really affects some of the things that you can do. But what I was going to say is that as far as posting to GBP, some of you guys have actually found out that in the command center, which many of you guys might be familiar with at this point, in the command center, you actually do have access to connecting your Google Business Profile and creating and scheduling posts in there, right? So although some of the other tools here do way more, you don't necessarily have to use those tools to schedule your GBP posts. You can actually get away with just using the command center for that, right? So kind of knocking out part of what you'd be paying for with some other stuff with something that is already available, like the command center, right?
Yeah. And what some of these tools do is, like, somebody like me who has a really good idea of what SEO is that when I start looking at the ranking grids, I can start seeing areas where I need to like go after, I don't want to call it geofencing, but I need to get more geographical relevance for that certain area or something that I'm looking into, where your traditional rank tracker won't show you, or you can't see sitting on your office computer or even on your phone, because one of the biggest ranking factors for local is going to be proximity. So how do you get how do you get shown in a wider proximity? You have to start putting your information out there on properties that help you tie into that area. So, but you're right. There's a lot of stuff that we can't do, unfortunately, in our market, because Google flat out neuters what we can do. I mean, if you go back to the keyword planner, they didn't show me any other keywords, ideas or suggestions in the Google keyword planner for AR-15. And we know, based off of what I looked in Ahrefs, is that there's almost 400,000 that Ahrefs knows about. So, but yeah, those are the local tools. I'll just jump into the last one. A lot of the sites we build, or all the sites we build, are going to be on WordPress. That would be my recommended CMS, unless you're an absolute HTML genius. To be fair, the sites that rank the best are flat HTML, period, because they're simple, they're not bloated, they don't have a lot of back end, but it's a lot of custom work, right? Like, so if you were to take like our typical e-commerce store and that we can build in WordPress and have it built in HTML, your price point is going to be about 30 times what you would have to pay for a WordPress site, because there's so much more coding involved, so much more customization. Making changes to HTML sites can be extensive, exhaustive. So I recommend WordPress straight out. And what we use in-house for our SEO plugin is going to be Rank Math. It's definitely a very comprehensive SEO plugin. It does a lot. don't think that SEO plugins will rank your site alone. What they do is add in functionality, features for us to go in and update important key elements that are related to SEO. The other one that I like to use is SEO Press. It's just about as powerful as Rank Math. The biggest difference between Rank Math and SEO Press is Rank Math has a built-in feature where you can plug in instant indexing and basically just pass pages from the website directly to Google to help you index your pages. I'll get into indexing more when we talk about the technical audits. SEO Press, as far as I know right now, doesn't have that feature. Otherwise, they're pretty much the same. They have free options and there's paid options. Obviously, we use the paid option for Rank Math because it opens up more for us. But these are the ones I recommend. I would not recommend Yoast. I will say this, Yoast made me a lot of money because sometimes when they pushed out a big update once and what they did was turned every single image into an indexable page on websites, and Google suddenly was seeing, or we were seeing websites that would have hundreds if not thousands of additional images or URLs showing up. It would be duplicate content, thin content, brought the quality of the site down. It was actually a simple fix, but one plugin. There's other reasons for Yoast too. It's bloated, but really what we look for when we're looking at WordPress plugins are lightweight functionality and things like this. So these are the two that I would definitely recommend.
Cool. So I'm glad that you brought up a couple of things in there. The first thing is you mentioned that just by installing a plugin that's an SEO plugin on your website, that's not going to actually do anything, right? So something that we need to be super, super aware of is installing like Yoast or Rank Math or whatever. Again, we do not recommend Yoast. However, just by installing that, all that's doing is giving you functionality that if you know how to use, you can then go ahead and do advanced SEO work on your website. But what a lot of people have a misconception of is they have a website and then they install Yoast and then maybe they like do one or two things and then they expect some type of results to come with it. And so realistically, I've used this analogy before and it might be goofy or whatever, but it's almost like you having an Airbnb or something like that and you changing the coffee table in the living room and expecting to book more bookings that month, right?
Yeah.
There's no fucking correlation whatsoever of just installing the plugin itself to you actually getting some type of tangible result that's going to end up with more money in your pocket, right? So do not be fooled by like, oh, I just installed the plugin and then it does everything for me. Like at this point, it doesn't really exist. I'm hoping somewhere in the near future that we can have AI plugins do like most of the work for us and then we can focus on the more advanced stuff. But at this point, the work still has to be done, right? The plugin's not going to do it all for you.
Yeah, what it does, again, it just adds extra functionality to the WordPress build for us to optimize key points that relate to SEO. One of the things that comes to mind is like it instead of having to either code it or just modify pages in a way that's just really weird, or you have to get multiple different tools to do certain functions. It's all built in and baked into one individual tool, right? Like either one of these will allow me to edit schema from within WordPress without actually having to go in the code, edit the header or something to that effect. A lot of these tools will give you an SEO score based off of what your keyword term is for that page. Again, they're just guidelines. It's kind of like keyword difficulty in any of these other SEO tools. It's kind of a guideline. I don't care how many green lights you have in Yoast. It's not going to mean a whole lot. You can have a green site everywhere. If you don't have backlinks, it doesn't matter. If you're optimizing for the wrong keyword, you could still be green for that keyword, but it could be the entire wrong keyword for that page. So yeah, it's definitely something I want to do. Instead, it adds a lot of good functionality for us. So
cool. While you move to the Q&A section, I would just want to tell like a very brief story. When I first got into this stuff and I didn't know shit about SEO, my goal was to get all the green lights in Yoast, right? So I would have a website, we would install Yoast, and I would pay somebody like $50 from India or Pakistan or whatever to turn all the lights green in Yoast, right? not realizing that that has almost no like tangible result correlation whatsoever, right? That's literally, again, just kind of fixing up the interior when the exterior of the site, these sites had like no backlinks or anything like that. It was, I know that I dealt with that, so I know that other people probably think that as well.
Yeah, I thought it too, honestly. It's crazy how, so one of the things about SEO is it's really not regulated. There's no like true certification. You can't go to school for it. What you go to school for is like it's digital marketing, right? Like really the best SEOs are the ones that have a lot of experience and just kind of know what really works and what doesn't. But what this does is means that people can average like, oh, here you go, put our SEO plugin on and rank your site. And it's just, I don't want to say like it's false advertising, but it really leaves a lot to be desired. A lot of people think the same way and definitely thought like, oh, I got to have an SEO plugin and it'll rank my site. Well, it'll help you because it'll put in a nice little meta title box. It'll put in a nice meta description box where you can actually type this stuff out. Some of them do it in bulk. Some of them, items like that. But
Cool. So there's a couple of you guys in here in the live. If you have any questions based on what you've seen right now, or any other SEO related questions, what you can do is go ahead and comment them into the live video on Facebook. And then we're going to give, we have like 2 or 3 minutes. If you guys put any questions in there, we'll go through those. If not, then we'll just go ahead and wrap this up. But now is your chance, guys. I know there's a few of you in here. If you have questions and you're watching the Facebook Live, go ahead and comment them and we will go ahead and address those right now.
yeah, absolutely. Definitely keep an eye on that as well. But again, it's what's important with your tools is to pick something within your budget. Don't think you have to go out and get a $300-400 a month, and some of them are that expensive, tool to do good SEO. You can get by with just using the Google suite of tools and potentially picking up something if you need to do in-depth keyword research. Again, I'm all for people trying to do this stuff themselves. It's how I got started. In fact, the only reason why I stumbled across SEO is because I was in college in a marketing class, and my professor was talking about affiliate marketing. I studied what affiliate marketing was, and like the number one thing you need for affiliate marketing is traffic to your offer. How do you get traffic? Well, I'm a college guy, right? I don't have money, can't pay for ads. What's the alternative? SEO. And that was almost 12 years ago now. And it just led down this rabbit hole. So I don't see any questions popping in yet. What I do want to go ahead and just preview the topic for next week is going to be a technical audit that we're going to do. I'll probably pick a site that we can audit live potentially. But this is our audit. I just want to point out that it's 169 different items that we look at. These things are in depth. There's 38 overall points that we look at. I probably wouldn't look at this as much as I would say it's not really a 30-point audit, but we look at the general health. I use Screaming Frog. I want to look at the security, response codes, URLs, page titles, descriptions, headings, images. Use Google Search Console checks, performance covers, sitemaps, so on. I should change this because I use Lightspeed now, but site speed test. I want to see keyword cannibalization. I'll get into that on technical audits. And then the Google PQRG audit. There's 14 different items from that I look at. Target page analysis. That's if we actually know what our target page, like one of our major pages are. And then some of the link mapping here. But this is going to detail every single item on here. 186 different things I look at. So security, is the site not secured? It's 2023. If you don't have an SSL certificate and not serving your site up from an HTTPS, you need to fix that. That is a ranking factor. Core web pages being served on HTTP. So what that means is, hey, you might have your SSL on there, but you might be serving images from a non-secure site. We need to fix that. Keeps going on. This just kind of goes through the details of all the different checks and items we look at, everything we look at in Search Console.
Cool. So yeah, guys, we'll be going over this stuff in detail next week. Make sure to tune in. We might change the time. I think Ben might have some prior engagements. So what will happen is Ben and I will get together. I will do my best to get this in the group earlier so that you guys have a better idea on when we will be going live. I know some of these, I kind of just catch you guys off guard, and I'm just like, hey, we're going live in an hour. It is what it is, right? Most of you guys will probably end up catching this on a replay. And that's cool. And many of you guys will probably catch this on YouTube as well. Here is the end. And basically, here's our pitch. This shit is there's a lot that goes into this, right? There's a lot of tools that are expensive if you actually want to get the best results. If you watch this kind of stuff and you want to kind of play around with some of it yourself, I highly recommend doing that. I highly recommend you getting a base layer understanding of how all of this stuff works. If you are in a position where you have some capital to spend and invest in your business and you want to get ahead, many of you guys that I speak to on a regular basis tell me, like, I'm trying to be the next Palmetto. I'm like, cool, get ready to spend a lot of fucking money, because that's really what it's going to take, right? The number one reason that most of you guys are not making the revenue that you want is because nobody knows who the fuck you are. That's literally what it comes down to. If not enough people know who you are, nobody can buy from you. If nobody's going to your website, nobody is going to give you money, right? So our goal here in teaching you guys this stuff is that hopefully some of you guys will take this and use it for yourselves and run with it and be able to, get some awesome results and be happy with that. But those of you guys who are looking to actually grow this shit and make it big and do more than everybody else, when you come across these big companies, they're not doing it all themselves. They are getting help, right? We are here to help. If you are in a spot where you feel like you might be able to get help, or you're looking for help, or you have some questions or whatever, best way to reach me is shoot me a DM on Facebook. But you can also comment on this video, whether you're watching it on YouTube or in the group. You can also go to www.fflfunnels.com and book a discovery call with me there. That way we can kind of walk through your individual situation and see if this is something that we might be able to help you out with, right? So at that point, then you don't have to worry about all these tools and all these technical audits and all this different stuff. Basically, all you need to worry about is that handling what you do on a regular basis, and just know that there's somebody like us on the back end that knows what the fuck we're doing, that's actually going to get you some type of tangible result. Cool. Ben, do you have anything else?
No, I mean, the idea here is just to make sure you guys aren't misspending your money. You're focused on the correct things to do, especially if you're going to try to do this yourself. And just know that we're here to help. At the end of the day, I know, it's like you don't pay the plumber to bang a pipe, right? You pay him to know what pipe to bang on. And that's kind of what we're trying to say here. Like, we know what we're doing. We're happy to help. We want to see you guys succeed. So
cool.
That's it.
All right, you guys, we are out. We'll catch you next week. Like I said, probably not the same time, but I'll let you know in the group. And that's it. Have a good one. Later, guys.
See you.